Be quiet, or it'll find us.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Void Signal. Tonight's story is different. There were 14 people on that rock, and none of one of them is telling this. The only thing that came off that station inked was the thing they dug up, and it's the one doing the talking. If this one gets under your skin, a like or a comment helps more than you think. Let's get into it. I am cold. I have been cold for a very long time, and cold is not a thing I mind. Cold is the shape of my sleeping. In the cold, my body needs almost nothing, and what it needs it takes from itself, slowly, the way a stone gives up warmth to the dark around it. I do not know how long. Length is not a thing I keep. There was a before, and the before had a great deal of light in it, and a great deal of noise. And then there was the falling, and then there was the making of this shell around me, and then there was the cold. I have been in the cold, and I have been becoming. That is the only work I have. Even asleep, even with nothing coming in, I have been folding myself into the next shape, the way all my kind do, slowly, over an unhurried span, in a place where nothing can reach us. I am almost finished. I have been almost finished for a great while now, and I cannot finish, because the last part of the becoming cannot be done from the inside. The last part needs the shell opened. The last part needs feeding, so I have waited. That is not hard for me. Waiting is what I am best at, after killing. And now there is a sound in my shell. It is small, it is very small, and it is very far above me, and it has been there for a great many turns without my caring about it. It is a grinding, a worrying at the outside, like something with weak teeth. But it does not stop. It has never once stopped, and it is coming down. I feel it the way you feel a thing being scraped from the far end of the same bone. It comes through the rock and into the fluid of me, and I taste the shape of it. A hardness turning very fast, and behind the hardness, a hollow, and in the hollow, light. Not the light that fills a sky. The other kind. The little crackling kind. The kind that lives inside a body and runs along its threads and makes it move. The kind I have always been able to see through anything. There are lights coming down through my shell. 14 of them. I know this before I know anything else about them, because it is the first thing I ever know about anything. I do not see with eyes the way the soft things do. My eyes are for the great dark, and they are almost useless this close in. What I have instead is spread across the whole surface of me, in pits, in threads, in a mesh under my skin, and it reads the small storms that living meat makes when it thinks and moves and wants. Every living thing is loud. This is the thing they never understand about me, and I have never been able to explain it to any of them, and I do not care to. They believe they can be quiet. They believe if they hold their breath and do not move, they are hidden. But their hearts are shouting. Their nerves are shouting. A thought is a small lightning, and I can taste it through rock, through metal, through the second skins they wear. I can find a thing that is holding its breath and lying perfectly, still more easily than I can find one that is running, because when they are still and afraid, they burn brightest of all. 14. They come down in a straight line, which is a stupid way to come. They open the rock above me with heat and with turning, and they take it away in pieces, and I lie still under all of it, and feel them getting closer, and I do not move at all. I am very good at not moving. They break into the upper part of me on the day the grinding stops. Not into me, into the outer part of the shell, the part I made first and thickest, the part where I left the old layers of myself as I grew and shed and grew again. It is not rock, that part. It never was. It is what my body puts down when it is finished with a stage, the way a thing that grows must leave something behind, and it is bright, and it is orderly, and it carries the little storms very well, better than anything else in this cold place, which is why I made it. They find it, and something happens in the 14 lights that I have never felt before. They flare, all of them at once, high and fast and hot. The pattern of their small storms goes wild and jagged. It is not fear. I know fear. I have known fear my whole existence. Fear is the flavor I hunt by. This is the other thing, the bright thing, the thing that comes when a creature finds what it wants. They are glad. They have found my shed skin, and they are glad, and they begin to carry it up out of me, load after load, and they do not stop. And I lie underneath, and I understand something that changes everything. They will keep digging. I do not have to break my own shell. They will do it for me. I take the first one on the day the shaft reaches the 5th chamber. I want to be plain about this, because I have thought about it since, and I have learned since that they made a great many stories about why. They decided I was angry. They decided I was defending something. I was hungry. I had been asleep for longer than their son has had them, and something warm and full of salt walked into the dark alone, and I was hungry, and I did what I am. He comes down the new shaft with a lamp on his head, and he is one of the ones who move slowly and carefully and stop often, and his little storm is calm. He is not afraid. He is bored. He is thinking about something that is not this place. I come up through the floor. I want to tell you how I do this, because they never understood it, and it frightened them more than anything else about me. They thought I was passing through solid rock. I am not. Nothing does that. What I do is simpler and worse. The rock is not solid. Not anymore. They have been shaking it for 2 of their years with their grinding and their heat, and it is full of cracks too fine for them to see, and my body has no bones in the way theirs does. I have no shape I must keep. I can put myself through an opening a great deal smaller than I am, and I can make an opening larger by pushing, and I am strong in a way that nothing here has ever had to be strong. So I do not pass through the wall. I take the wall apart, very fast, along the lines where it is already broken, and I come out of it, and the pieces of it come out with me as a fine black cloud. That is the dust. They notice it later. They notice it long before they notice me, and they never once put the two together in time. He hears the wall coming for maybe a quarter of a breath. He turns his lamp toward it. Then I have him. It is quick. I want that written down. I am not cruel. Cruelty is a thing you people invented, and I have not found a use for it. He does not have time to be afraid, and I am sorry about that, in the way a thing like me can be sorry, which is that fear improves the flavor, and I would have liked some. And then I learn. This is the part I do not know how to say in their words, and I have all of their words now. When I take one, I do not only take the meat. The meat is fuel. The meat is what lets me finish becoming. But there is the other thing, the pattern, the map that was running in the wet part of them. The way they hold a tool. The way they think about a corridor. What they are frightened of, and in what order. I take it, and it becomes mine. Before him, I did not know what a lamp was. After him, I know that they cannot see without one, and that this is not true of the whole of them, but only the eyes, and that the eyes are on the front, and that if I come from behind and below, they will not know. Before him, I did not know what a door was. That is what he gave me, that first one, and he gave it for nothing, and I ate for the first time in an age, and the last part of my becoming began to move in me like something turning over in its sleep. 13. They look for him for a full turn of their sleeping and waking. I watch this. I lie in the wall of the shaft, spread thin, with only a small part of me actually touching the open air, and I watch them go up and down with their lights, calling. I learn a great deal that day, and none of it from eating. I learn that they will come back for one another. This surprises me. Nothing I have ever hunted has done this. Everything I have ever hunted scatters, and the scattering is what makes the hunting good, because a scattered thing can be taken one at a time forever. These do the opposite. When one goes dark, the others come toward the place where it went dark. I do not understand it that first day. I only note it, the way I note a place where the rock is weak. Later, I will understand it very well. Later, it will be the only difficult thing about them. The one who finds the blood is small and young, and her little storm is fast, always fast, a quick flickering thing. She makes a sound I have never heard, high and torn, and it goes into the metal of the walls and travels a long way, and all the other lights turn toward it and start moving. I lie in the wall 2 body lengths from her, and I do not take her, though I could, though she is close enough that I can taste the salt coming off her skin. I do not take her because I have just learned that they come when one screams. Why would I take one when I can leave one and have all of them walk toward me? They bring the pieces of him up, and they put them somewhere, and then they stand around in the wide room and make noise at one another for a long time. This is the first time I try to listen. I want to be exact about what that is like, because they had a word for what I was doing, and the word is wrong. They thought I was eavesdropping. I was not. Eavesdropping is what you do when you already share a language and are simply not meant to be present. What I have, at this stage, is vibration. Their mouths shake the air, and the air shakes the metal, and the metal goes down into the rock, and the rock is where I am. So what arrives in me is the shape of a sound after it has been through 3 different substances, and none of it means anything at all. But I have eaten one of them. And in the wet part of him, there was a thing that turned sound into meaning, and I have it now, and it is running, and it is trying to do its job with almost nothing to work on. So I get pieces, not sentences. Words come out of the noise the way a stone comes out of a riverbed, one at a time, wet and unconnected, and I do not know what most of them are for. Rockfall. I do not know this word. I will learn it. I will learn that it is the name of a thing that happens by accident, and that they wanted it very badly. No, no, look at thee. Look at it, Rhea. That is not a rockfall. Then you tell me what it is. Silence. A long one. 13 small storms, all burning at once in that room, and every one of them is doing the thing I have already started to recognize, the tight, bright flicker of a creature that has a thought it does not want to say out loud. Then one voice, lower than the others, slower, and I know it immediately because I have been feeling its owner move around this station for 2 days, and his storm never spikes. Don't send anyone down alone. Not for anything. Not for a shift change. Not for a tool. Nobody goes below level 4 on their own until we know. Jarek, we have quota. I don't care about quota. That is the first complete sentence I ever understand. I have thought about that since, and I have all their words now, and I am aware that there is something in it. Of the several thousand things said on that station in the days that followed, the pleading, the arguing, the praying, the last words, the first one that ever came through to me whole was that one. I don't care about quota. It should have told me everything. Then they do a thing I do not expect. They stop digging. The grinding, which has been going for 2 of their years without ever stopping, which is the sound I woke to, and the sound of my shell being opened for me, goes silent. I lie in the dark and feel it not happening, and I have my first real difficulty. I need them to keep digging. I am close, but I am not out. There is a great weight of shell above me still, the hard old outer part, and I am not yet finished enough to break it myself. I have fed once. Once is not enough. I need a great deal more, and I need the hole they have made kept open and widened, and now they have stopped. so I learn my second thing, and it is the thing that makes me what I become. I learn to hunt them in a way that keeps them here. And this is where I must speak about the one they call Jarrek's soul. I did not know his name then. I did not know that they had names. I knew him only as the strong one. Not strong in the body. None of them are strong in the body, but strong in the little storm. His pattern is very steady. Where the others flicker and spike, his stays level, even when he is afraid, and he is very often afraid. He is the one who goes toward things. That is how I first find him worth watching. When something happens in this station, every light moves away from it except one, and that one moves toward it, every time, without any pause at all, as though the moving toward is not a decision he makes. He is in the deep shaft on the second day of the silence, and he is doing something to the machinery there, and I lie in the rock a hand's width behind him, and I watch his hands. I could take him. He is alone. He is bent over with his back to the wall I am inside. I do not. I want to be very clear about why, because it is not mercy. I have not got mercy. I have looked for it in the patterns I have taken from them, and I understand what it is now, but I do not have any. I do not take him because he is the one who keeps the shell open. His hands are on the machines. When a machine stops, he is the one who makes it go again. If I take him early, the digging stops forever, and I stay in the dark. So the strongest one lives, at first, because he is useful to me. I have thought about that a great deal since. There is something in it that I still turn over. I have all their words now, and the closest one is irony, and I understand why they made that word, though it does not taste of anything to me. I take the second and third together in the ore gallery, and this is where I learn what they do when they are ready. They have started going in pairs, never alone. This is a good adaptation, and it is the first one they make, and I am briefly pleased with them, the way I would be pleased with any prey that is not entirely stupid, because dull hunting is a long, slow way to starve. Two lights come along the gallery, close together, and they both have the loud tools now, the ones that spit metal. They have taken them from a locked place. They are holding them the way a creature holds a thing it has never used. I come out of the ceiling. This is my first change, and it is a small one, and it is entirely because of what the first one gave me. I know now that their eyes are on the front, and that they look level and down, because that is where their feet go. They almost never look up. Nothing on the world that made them ever came from above. They are dead before either of them lifts the tool. And then I have two more patterns, and my body drinks them, and something in my chest cracks and reforms, and I am larger by morning. But the pattern is worth more than the meat, because one of them knew the metal-spitting tools, knew them well. And now I know what they do, and what they cannot do. And I understand for the first time that they are the same thing as a rock thrown very fast, and that there is no part of me thick enough to care about a rock, but that if enough of them are thrown at the same place on me, I will be hurt. So the next time I go for them, I go for the ones without the tools, and I go for the tools first when I can, and I begin the thing they later find so much more frightening than my body. I begin to be difficult to fight. 11. They have worked out by now that I give them a warning, and they believe it is a flaw in me. It is not. I want to be clear about it, because it is the piece of me they got most wrong, and they built a great deal on getting it wrong. When I come, the framework hums first. A low note in the metal, a beat or two before I open the wall, and then the dust, the fine black powder that sifts out of a surface that looks perfectly solid and drifts and settles on their shoulders. They cannot help but notice these things. The hum goes into their boots and up the bones of their legs. The dust falls through the beams of their lamps. Within a few days, every one of them has learned it, and they teach it to each other, and it becomes the whole of their religion. When the floor hums, run. I could stop it. Not entirely. The hum is the rock complaining as I come through it, and that much is simply what I am. But I could come slower. I could come up through the places where their own machinery is already loud. I could arrange for the dust to fall behind them instead of in front, and I worked out how to do all of that by the 4th day. I do not do it, because the moment the hum starts, every light in that station goes bright. That is the whole of it. A creature that suspects nothing is a dull little candle. A creature that has half a second of certainty that something is coming for it burns like nothing else in this universe, and the burning is what I read them by, and it is where the patterns come from. If I came silently, I would have to find them. This way, they light themselves up and tell me exactly where they are, faster and more precisely than any hunting I could do. They think the hum is their warning. It is mine. And once I have understood this, I begin the other thing, the patient thing, the thing that takes their station away from them, one room at a time. I do not need to be everywhere. I only need them to believe that I might be. So I open a wall in the water plant and take no one, and leave the dust on the floor for them to find. And after that, they will not go to the water plant except in threes. I hum the framework under the long gallery for an hour and never come out at all, and after that they stop using the long gallery and go the other way round, which is longer, which puts them in the corridors more, which shows me more of them. I take one at the foot of the stairs to the upper dock, and after that there are no more stairs. Level by level, I make their home smaller, not by holding ground. I hold nothing. I am never in the same place twice, but by making each place cost something to walk into. Within 6 days, they have 140 rooms, and they are living in 9 of them, and they have done every part of that shrinking themselves, and each wall of the pen was built by them, out of their own entirely reasonable fear. By the end, they are not hiding from me. They are hiding where I have left them room to hide. They gather in the wide room at the top on the 4th day, and all 11 of the lights are in the same place, and it is the largest single thing I have ever tasted, and I lie on the floor beneath them and eavesdrop on their storms. I cannot hear words. Not yet. I hear the vibration of their mouths in the metal, and I hear the storms of their nerves, and I read the shapes of both, and from the shapes I take meaning. But at this stage, it is like a thing you might taste in water without knowing what it came from. I know this much. They are arguing. Some of the lights want to go up and out. Some want to stay. And the steady one, Jarek, is the loudest. He is not the leader. There is a leader, an old, strong one they defer to. But the steady one is the one whose storm the others turn toward when they are frightened, the way a thing lost in the dark turns toward the one light that is not moving. He wants to stay. I feel the shape of it. He wants to stay because there are still ones down in the shafts who have not come up. There are not, in fact. I have eaten those. But he does not know it, and he will not go until he does. And this is when I first understand him properly, and it is the moment my hunting stops being easy. I can hear them better now. 2 more have gone into me since the shaft, and the thing in my head that turns noise into meaning has been fed, and the words come in strings instead of stones. 11, the old one says, the leader. Her storm is strong and level, and she is the only one in the room whose voice does not shake. 11 of us and a lifeboat rated for 12. We undock in 90 minutes, and we take a slow orbit, and we wait for the company tug, and we go home. That's the whole plan. That's all of it. Not yet. Jarek. And Kemdi and Otsuka haven't come up. And Kemdi and Otsuka have been off comms for 6 hours in a shaft where 3 people have already died. A pause. When she speaks again, it is gentler, which I have learned is what they do just before they say the hardest thing. You know what that means. You've known for 4 hours. I've watched you know it. I know what it probably means. Then say the number out loud. 11, or 11 plus 2, who are almost certainly already. Don't. Very quiet. The whole room goes still, and every storm in it turns toward him at once. Don't do that in front of me. Don't put them on one side and us on the other and count. Somebody has to. No. He says it flatly, like a man reading a specification. Somebody had to once, and I was somebody, and I did it, and the arithmetic was correct. It was correct, Rhea. That's the part nobody understands. I ran it, and I got the right answer, and I closed the door, and the right answer was 11 alive and 3 dead, and I have never once been able to make that mean anything. Nobody speaks, so I don't do it anymore. That's all. I'm not brave, and I'm not stupid. I just don't do it anymore. I'm going down to 9. If they're dead, I'll come back up, and I'll get on your boat, and I'll never argue with you again. He goes down to 9. And that is when I understand him properly. And it is the moment my hunting stops being easy. He will not leave one behind. Not one. Not for anything. Not to save the rest. I turn that over in the cold of me for a long while, because it is the first thing I have ever met that will not do arithmetic. Everything does arithmetic. It is the deepest law there is, and it is older than me. A herd runs, and the slow one is left, and the herd survives. And this is not cruelty. It is simply the shape of things. It is the sum that every living creature everywhere has always done without needing to be taught. 11 is more than 1, so you leave the 1. He will not do the sum. And because he will not do the sum, I cannot predict him. This is the difficulty. Everything I have is prediction. My whole becoming is built on it. I take a pattern, and I run it forward, and I know where the prey will be before it knows. And this has never once failed me in the whole long history of what I am, on worlds you have never seen and would not survive an hour on. But my prediction is built on the sum. All prey does the sum. So when I cut off a corridor, the prey turns away, and I am already at the turn. He comes forward instead. The first time it happens, I nearly lose a limb. I have the small, fast one, the young one, in the low passage. I have been herding her for some time, closing the ways behind her one by one, the way I have learned to, and she is doing exactly what she should be doing. She is running the correct way. She is running the way that is away. And he comes into the passage from the wrong end, not to run, not to hide. He comes into the space between the prey and me, carrying a cutting torch, and he puts it into the part of me that is nearest, and it hurts. I have not been hurt in a very long time. I had almost stopped believing it was a thing that could still happen to me. I go back into the rock. I do not decide to. My body decides, the old fast part that does not consult me. And by the time I am thinking again, I am 4 chambers away with a part of me smoking, and the 2 lights are gone up the shaft together. That is when I begin to take him seriously. That is also when I stop simply feeding and begin, properly, to hunt. 10, 9. I get faster after that. Every one gives me more of them. By the 6th day, I know the shape of their station better than most of them do, because I have taken 2 who knew it well, and 1 who built part of it, and their maps are in me now, and I can move from any place in it to any other place in it faster than they can walk it. I know their doors. That is the thing I would most like them to have understood, if I cared whether they understood. They put such faith in doors. A door is a piece of metal on rails, and they believe it makes a room into a safe place, and this belief is so deep in them that they will sleep behind one. But a door is only strong in the direction it was made strong. The wall around it is bolted to the rock, and the rock is mine. They lose the 2nd shift dormitory on the 6th day. 3 in one room, all asleep, all behind a door they had welded shut, and I do not come through the door at all. I come through the rock behind the wall, the door is in. 2 of them wake. I take my time with those 2, and I am not ashamed of this. It is not cruelty. It is that I have learned by then that fear is not only a flavor. Fear makes the storm bright, and the brighter the storm, the more of the pattern I get, and I have begun to want the patterns more than the meat. I want to know what they know. 6. and it is on the 6th day that they begin, finally, to be interesting. The one they call Senna, the one who looks at rock, who has been looking at my shed skin since before I woke, who is the only one of them who has been asking the right question the whole time and asking it about the wrong thing. She works it out. I am under the floor of the room where she works. I am there most of the time now. It is a good place, and I like her storm. It has a particular quality, a sort of steady inward burn, and it moves in a way that I have come to associate with the making of connections. She has laid out the pieces of my shed skin on a table, and she has the images from their machines, and she has the dust. I feel her get it. I feel it happen. The pattern goes up, and then it does a thing I have never felt before in any creature anywhere. A kind of collapse, a great falling in, as everything she has been holding separately comes together at once. And her storm goes cold. Fear, I know. This is not fear. This is the thing below fear. The one that comes when a creature stops being able to hold the world in the shape it had it in. She calls the others. She makes them come. And I hear all of it now. Every word. 8 of them are in me by this point, and the machine they each carried for turning noise into meaning is running in me 9 times over, and I no longer have to guess. I need you to look at the core samples, not the assay, the structure. Sena, we do not have time for. Rhea, please look at the structure. A pause, the shuffle of bodies. Then Sena, and her voice has a flatness in it that I have come to recognize in this species as the sound of someone holding something very carefully so as not to drop it. The superconductive strata are not deposits. Deposits are messy. Deposits are what you get when heat and pressure and time push material around at random, and they look like it. They always look like it. These don't. These are laid down in shells. One inside the next, concentric, each layer thinner than the one outside it, all the way down as far as we've cut. 41 of them. Meaning what? Meaning nothing distributes material like that except a thing that is growing. That's not a metaphor. That is the only process any of us has ever seen produce a structure like this. It goes down in layers from the inside out because something was inside, putting it there. Senna. We are not standing on a rock with something buried in it. I feel the room change before she finishes. 6 small storms spike at once, a bright, ragged flash all through the floor beneath me, and it is the most beautiful thing I have tasted since I woke. We are standing on the thing. All of it. The whole asteroid. It's not rock we're mining. The word is shell. We have been cutting our way into a shell from the outside for 2 years and selling what we cut. Quiet. Then the young one, and her voice is too high and going higher. So it's a prison. Somebody put it in there. Somebody... No. Sena says it fast and hard, and I like her enormously for the speed of it. That's the part I want you to hear, Ren. Nobody put it anywhere. A prison is built around something. This was built from the inside. It made this. It made all of this around itself, and then it went to sleep in the middle of it. Say what you mean. That is Jarek. Level. Almost gentle. And Sena says the thing that is true, and that I have known since before their species could stand upright. It's a chrysalis. They are quiet after that in a way that is new. It goes on a long time. Then Jarek asks the only question that matters, which is the question I would have asked, which is the question of a good animal. What happens when it's finished? I don't know. Guess. Jarek, I don't. You've been right about everything for 6 days. Guess. And she does, and she gets it exactly right, and I bear her no ill will at all for it. I think it's been ready for a very long time. I think the last stage of something like this needs 2 things at once, and it could never have either. It needed the shell opened from the outside, because nothing can hatch itself, and it needed to feed, because a metamorphosis costs more energy than a dormant body has. And we drilled it open, and then we sent 14 people down the hole. Nobody says anything. We didn't wake it up, Sina says. We hatched it. Yes, that is correct in every part, and I am, in a way I did not have language for until I took some of these people, glad that one of them worked it out before the end. Not for their sake, for the same reason a thing likes to be seen properly. They try to kill me the next day. I should say that they try properly, not with the metal-spitting tools, which by then even they can see are an insult. They do the thing that a mining station can actually do, and it is very nearly enough, and it teaches me the last thing I need. They open the station to the dark. It is the old one's idea, the leader, and it is a good one. Their home has doors between every section, and those doors are made to seal. The whole place is built on the understanding that the emptiness outside is patient and only needs one mistake. So they gather in the coil room and the 2 rooms next to it, and they seal what they can, and then from a panel on the wall they blow every hatch on 4 levels at once. Everything goes out. The air goes out in one enormous shove, and it takes with it the tables and the cabling and the loose panels and a great deal of black dust. And it takes me. I am in a corridor on the 2nd level, and the wall at the end of it simply ceases to be there. And then I am moving very fast toward a hole with all the atmosphere of 4 decks behind me, and there is nothing to hold and nothing to brace against. And I go out into the dark with the wreckage of their kitchen. They believe that this kills me. I feel them believing it. 11. No. 6 by then. 6 small storms in that coil room going up all together in the bright glad flare I first tasted when they found my old skin. I am outside their station for 2 hours. I do not breathe. I want to be plain about that because they had not thought it through, and it was their whole plan. I use what is in me, and I use it very slowly, and I have been not breathing for longer than this world has had continents. The cold is nothing. The emptiness is nothing. I made a shell against the emptiness and lived inside it while their species was learning to stand up. What the emptiness does to me is not damage, it is silence. Out there, away from the rock and away from the metal, there is no vibration to feel, and there is nothing conducting, and their little storms are behind a hull, and for 2 hours I have almost nothing at all coming in. It is the 2nd time in 9 days that I have not known exactly where I am, and I do not like it. And I climb back along the outside of their station in the dark with a great deal of purpose. They have sealed everything. Every hatch, every door, every crack. They have done it well, and they are sitting inside a hard shell believing that they are on the inside of the wall. I take the ore chute. It is the one opening in that entire structure that cannot be sealed, because it is how the rock comes out, and it goes from the surface of the asteroid directly into the processing hall, and it has to stay open or the station chokes. They knew about it. There was an argument about it. I felt the argument through the hull. Somebody said the chute, and somebody else said it was 400 meters of crushing rollers and pressure baffles, and nothing living could survive the transit. Nothing living that they had ever met. I come up through the floor of the processing hall while they are still celebrating, and I take 2 of them in under a minute, and the survivors go into the coil room, and that is where they stay. 4 left. But that is not what matters about the day. What matters is what I have out of it, and it is the peace that makes everything after it possible. Until then, I had understood their doors and their tools and their corridors. That day, I understood their station, not as a place, as a body. I learned that it breathes, that the air is a thing that has to be kept, that every part of it is joined to every other part, that pressure is a kind of blood. And I learned the most useful fact I have ever taken from anything, which is that it is anchored, that it is not part of the rock, but a thing bolted onto it, and that a structure held down by 4 spars is a structure that can be let go of. They taught me that themselves. 9 days later, at the very end, one of them will use it against me, and I will not be surprised, and I will already have decided what to do about it. They do not kill me that night, but they come closer than anything ever has. The steady one has been thinking. I know the shape of his thinking now, and it has a particular slow gathering quality, and I have learned that when it goes quiet in that way, something is coming that I will not like. They go into the coil room. I do not follow. I cannot follow, and it takes me 3 attempts and a great deal of pain to understand why, and this is the worst hour I have had since I woke. Their station moves the ore with induction, with great coils, with fields, with the pushing and pulling of the invisible. And the room where all of it is generated is full of a field so strong that when I put a part of myself into the doorway of it, everything I have goes white. Not blind, worse than blind. Every pit and thread in me screams at once with the same non-information, and I cannot tell up from down. I cannot tell rock from air. I cannot tell where my own body ends. It is the first time in my existence that I have not known where I am. They are in there, 4 of them. I can hear them through the metal. I can hear their mouths and their feet, and I cannot see one single light, because the room is shouting so loudly that nothing quieter than it exists. He has understood what I am. That is what makes me angry if the thing I feel is anger. He has understood not what I look like or what I want, but how I work, and he has found the one thing in this station that turns my whole world to noise, and he has put them all inside it. They stay there for 2 days. I circle. I go round and round through the rock and the walls, and I put out feelers, and I find nothing but the white shouting, and I get hungrier, and my becoming, which has been moving in me steadily since the first one, begins to slow. That is the closest they come to winning, and it is in those 2 days, with nothing else to do, that I learn to talk. I should explain, because they never worked out how, and it frightened them more than my body ever did. I have no mouth in the sense they mean. I do not move air. I have never in my existence needed to move air. But I have been shaking their station for 9 days. The hum, the low note in the framework that goes ahead of me. And a hum is only a vibration. And I have been listening to their vibrations for 9 days, and I have 9 of them inside me who knew exactly what shapes a vibration has to make. So I take the hum and I bend it. The first time, it comes out as noise, and I feel them go rigid on the other side of the wall. The 4th time, it is a word. By the end of the first day, I can put my voice into any panel of that station I am touching, and it comes out of the metal itself, out of the walls and the floor and the frame of the bunk they are sitting on, and they cannot cover their ears against it because it is not in the air. It is in the structure, and it goes up through their bones. I do not use it to lure them. I want that understood. I have their voices. I could have called in the voice of any one of the dead, and I never once did it, and they should have wondered why. I did not want them to come out. I wanted him to answer a question. I put my voice into the wall of the coil room on the 2nd night, and I say the only thing I have wanted to say since the low passage. Why did you come back for her? I feel what it does to them. 6, no, 4 by then. 4 small storms in that room going straight up like something struck. There is a very long silence. Then Jarek Sol, who has not slept in 3 days, says, in a voice that is almost bored, "That's not going to work. It is not a trick. I do not need a trick. I need to know why you came back for her. You'd have taken her either way. Yes. Then you already know it didn't work. What else is there? That is what I am asking you." Another silence. I can hear the young one crying, very quietly, in the way they do when they are trying not to be heard, and I can hear the old rock reader breathing too fast, and I can hear him. Nothing. His breathing does not change at all. "You've been listening to us for 9 days, he says. "You've been in the walls the whole time. Why ask now?" "Because I cannot get it any other way. And that is true. And I have never in my existence said a true thing to a prey animal before, and I do not know why I do it then. I take what is in them, I tell him. All of it. Everything they knew, everything they could do, every corridor they ever walked. I have 10 of you. I have the one who built the water plant, and the one who could strip a cutting head in the dark, and the one who was frightened of her father. I have all of it, and none of them had what you have, and I have looked. And what do I have? You do not do the sum. I feel him understand. It goes through his storm like a wire pulled tight, and for the first time in 9 days the level line of him jumps. Every living thing does the sum, I tell him, on every world I have ever hunted. The herd runs, and the slow one is left, and that is not cruelty. That is the shape of things. It is older than me, and it is older than this star. 11 is more than 1. You know that it is. I have listened to, you know it. And you went down to 9. Nothing. Explain it to me, and I will make it quick for all 4 of you. That is not a trick either. I can be very slow. Ask the 2 in the dormitory. And Jarek Sol laughs. It is a small sound, 1 breath, and there is nothing in it. No defiance, no hysteria, none of the bright chemical spike I get out of them when they are being brave at me. His storm does not move at all. It is the flattest, least interesting thing that has happened to me in 9 days, and I have thought about it more than anything else that has ever happened to me. No, he says. No? You don't get it. That's the whole point of it. If I could hand it to you, it wouldn't be worth anything. And then he says the last thing he ever says to me before the dock, and he says it the way you would tell a child something obvious. You've eaten 10 people to try and work out why anybody would go back for one. Think about that for a while. You're not going to get there. Then he unbolts the panel my voice is coming out of and drops it in a crate of coolant, and the coil room goes silent to me for 11 hours. I have gone over that conversation a great many times since. I have it perfectly. I have every word of everything now. He was wrong. I did get there. It took the rest of him to do it, but I got there, and that is the part I would like him to have known. 2 more days in that room, and I might have gone back down into the cold and slept again for another age, and none of what is coming would be coming. But they cannot stay. That is the thing about the soft ones. The room that hides them has no water in it. So on the second night, 4 of them come out. I have been waiting a long time, and I do not waste it. They come out in a tight group with the metal-spitting tools facing outward in every direction, moving along a corridor they have prepared. They have put lights along it, bright ones, and they have laid loose grit on the floor so that they can hear anything moving, and they have opened every panel in the walls so I cannot be behind one. It is good. It is genuinely good. If I were what I was on the first day, it would have worked. But I have eaten 10 of them by now. I come up through the floor in the middle of them. Not from the wall, which is where the tools are pointing. Not from the ceiling, which is where they learned to look after the ore gallery. From directly beneath their feet, in the space between the 4 of them, where 4 sets of eyes and 4 tools are all looking outward past me. Every one of them fires, and every one of them fires outward, and one of them puts a round through another one's leg. I take one. I could have all 4. They are inside the circle of me, and none of them is even facing the right way. And I take one, and I let the other 3 reach the door, because I am not finished eating, and I want that door to open again. 3. And here I should say what has happened to me, because it is the reason all of this is only a beginning. I have been becoming this whole time. Everyone has gone into it. Their salt, their water, their long, complicated fats, all of it. And the last stage has been unfolding in me since the first man in the shaft, and by the 9th day, it is nearly done. I am bigger. I would not now fit in the chamber where I slept. But that is the least of it, and it is the thing they were most frightened of, and they were frightened of the wrong thing entirely. What has actually changed is what I can do with what I take. At the start, I was taking one thing from each of them: a door, a lamp, a tool. Now I am taking all of it. I take a man and I have his whole map, his whole life, the shape of his mother, the words he was thinking in. I have 11 of them in me now, and their patterns have begun to speak to one another inside me. And out of the speaking has come a thing I did not have when I woke. I have learned to want things I have not yet been given. I have learned to plan. Not the old planning, which was the planning of muscle and angle. The new kind. The kind where you decide what you would like the world to be some considerable time from now, and then you make the small moves that bring it about. They taught me that. Every one of them who tried to outthink me taught me a little more about what thinking is for, and the ones who taught me most were the ones who nearly won. Jarek's soul has taught me more than all the rest of them together. I have his shape now from the outside, from watching, and I know it well. He goes toward the noise. He will not do the sum. He sleeps 3 hours and lies about it. He checks the machines twice, and he is carrying something old and heavy that makes him unable to leave anyone anywhere. I have never had that pattern in me. It is the last one I want, and it is the only one I have not been able to take. 3 of them left. Jarek, the young quick one, Ren, and the rock reader, Sena. They have stopped hiding. That is the last thing I expect, and I should have expected it, because the sum says hide, and he does not do the sum. They come out of the coil room on the 9th day carrying its heart. He has taken it apart. He has taken the induction coils out of the wall of the room that made me blind, and he has bolted them onto a hauler, and he has run the cable back to the station's power. And what he has made is a thing that carries the white shouting with it wherever it goes. I understand at once what he intends, and I feel something I would like to be able to describe. He is going to walk it down the main shaft. He is going to walk a piece of the blinding into my dark, and he is going to keep walking it until he reaches the bottom, and at the bottom, where the shaft passes through the great mass of my shed skin, he is going to switch it to full and put a field into the strata. He has worked out what my old skin is for, or near enough. It carries the small storms. It is what I put down, layer by layer, so that the shell around me would conduct, so that as I slept I could feel anything that came near, so that my chrysalis was also an ear. He is going to put a shout into my ear. If he does it while I am inside the strata, in the deep part where I still have to go to complete the last of the becoming, then everything I am will go white at once, and I will not know where I am. And there are places down there where the rock is under enormous strain, and a very large blind thing thrashing among them will bring several million tons of shell down on top of itself. It is a good plan. It is a better plan than anything I have met in a very long time, and he has built it out of a mining station and 11 dead friends, and I have to change what I am to survive it, so I let him. That is what he has never understood, and it is what I would tell him if I had any way to and any reason to. I let him bring it down, because the thing he has built needs a cable. It is drawing the power of the whole station, and there is no way to carry that in a hand. So behind his hauler there is a line, running back up the shaft, all the way to the top. He knows this is a weakness. He is not stupid. He has left the young one at the top to watch the line, and she is armed, and the corridor is lit. And so I do the thing that I did not know how to do when I woke up, the thing that 12 people taught me. I wait until he is most of the way down. I wait until he is past the point where he can get back up quickly. I wait until his whole attention is on the strata ahead of him, on the thing he is about to do, on the last hard problem. And then I go up, not toward the cable, toward the girl. She screams. I have taught them all to scream by now. It is a very reliable response, and the scream goes into the metal and travels down 800 meters of shaft and reaches him, and I stop. I do not take her. I have her by the leg, and I could have all of her in an instant. And instead, I hold her at the top of the shaft, and I let her keep screaming. And I lie in the wall, and I feel down the length of the rock for the shape of his little storm, and I wait to see which way he goes. Because I finally understand what I have been dealing with, and I want it confirmed, and there is only one way to confirm it. He turns around. 800 meters from the end of the only plan that could have killed me, with the thing he has spent 9 days building already switched on and humming, he lets go of it, and he comes back up the shaft for one 22-year-old apprentice who is, at that moment, already beyond saving in any sum that has ever been done anywhere in this universe. I have him then. Everything after that is only detail. I let go of the girl when I hear him coming. I take her properly, quickly, and I go into the wall and I go down, and I break the cable. Then I go into the strata, into the deep place, with the field dead and the shouting silenced, and I finish. The last of it takes 4 hours. I will not describe it. Not because it is secret. Because there is no part of the doing of it that has any relation to anything you have words for. And the closest thing in your language is birth, and it is not that. And the second closest is sloughing, and it is not that either. When it is done, I am no longer the thing that woke. I can survive outside the shell. That is the whole of it, really. Everything else is refinement. I can hold myself against the emptiness and the cold that is much deeper than my sleeping cold. And I can move in it, and I can go a very long way. That is what the becoming was for. That is what the chrysalis was for, and the long sleep, and the waiting for something to come along and open it. I was never trapped in this rock. I was in it the way a seed is in a seed. And when I come up out of the shaft, there is one light left, standing in the open dock with all the doors on the far side already blown, in nothing but a pressure suit, holding a cutting torch. He is waiting for me. He should not be alive. There is no arithmetic in which he is alive. He has been awake for 9 days. He has eaten almost nothing. His suit is patched in 4 places, and he is standing at the bottom of my rock waiting for a thing that has killed 13 people, and the plan he had is broken and lying in a shaft 800 meters down with a severed cable. He does not run. We look at each other. I do not have eyes, not the way he means, but there is a thing that happens between two animals when both of them know exactly what the other is, and it does not need eyes. His little storm is the steadiest I have ever tasted. It should be screaming. Every other one of them screamed at the end, in the body if not in the mouth. His is flat and slow, and there is almost nothing in it at all. He is not afraid of me. He has stopped being afraid of me somewhere between losing the girl and getting to this floor. And what is left is something I do not have a pattern for, something that is not fear or fight or flight, and I hover in front of him in the dark, and I try to read it, and I cannot. Then he raises the torch and says something. I hear it perfectly. I have 13 of them in me now, and I speak all of their languages and every private word they knew. He says, "You're not going anywhere," and he does not attack me. He turns, and he puts the torch into the anchor. I did not see it. I want to be honest about that, because I have not failed to see many things since I woke, and I failed to see this one. Their station is not built on my shell. It is bolted to it. 4 great anchor spars driven deep into the crust, holding a structure of 100,000 tons against a rock that is turning. And he has spent whatever time he had left cutting 3 of them. He has been standing in that dock, waiting for me not to fight me and not to stop me, but to be certain, absolutely certain, that I was up out of the shaft and on the surface and in the open before he cut the 4th. Because when it goes, the station tears loose, and it tears loose across the mouth of the shaft. The last anchor parts and 100,000 tons of steel and habitation swings on nothing, and comes down across my rock, and every corridor and cell and dormitory of the place where they lived crumples into the opening that they spent 2 years making, and it seals it. Not perfectly, not permanently, but it fills the throat of my chrysalis with more metal than I can move through in any short span of time. He has not killed me. He was never going to kill me, and I think he knew it. He has shut the door, and he has done it after I came out, which means he has understood completely and correctly that the important thing was never his own life. It was the other thing. It was what is still down there. Because I am not the only one. Did you think I was? There are 9 more of me in that rock. Smaller. Later. Not ready. They will not be ready for a long while yet, and they cannot open their own shells any more than I could open mine, and they will lie in the cold with the way out packed full of 100,000 tons of scrap, and they will wait for the next thing that comes along with grinding teeth and an appetite for what my body leaves behind. He worked that out. Somehow. Somewhere in those 9 days, with everyone he was responsible for dying around him, he worked out that there would be more, and he arranged the last 4 hours of his life so that they would stay shut in. He is still alive when the station goes. I feel him go out with it, one small, steady storm turning end over end in all that wreckage, out and away from the rock, and it does not flicker even at the end, and I go after him. Not to kill him. He is already dying. His air is going. I can taste the change in him. I go after him because I want the pattern. I want it more than I have wanted anything since I woke. More than food. More than the becoming. I want the thing that will not do the sum. I want to know what it is made of, and how it works, and where in the wet of him it lives. Because I have taken 13 of these creatures, and not one of the others had it, and I do not understand it, and I have never in my existence encountered a thing I do not understand. I catch him easily, and I hold him there, turning slowly in the dark with the wreck of his home spinning around us both, and I read him, and I take everything, and I understand him, and it is the most dangerous thing that has ever happened to me, and I would not undo it, because what he has is not courage. Courage I have met before, on other rocks, in other things. Courage is only a body deciding to fight instead of run, and I have eaten a great deal of courage. What he has is that he had decided, long before I ever woke, what he was for. Not what he wanted. Not what he would do if a thing happened. He had settled the matter in advance, at some earlier point, in some earlier place, over some earlier failure. I have it now. I know what it was. I know about the bulkhead he closed when he was younger, and the 3 that were behind it, and the arithmetic that was correct. And he came out of that having decided that he would never do it again, and then he simply was that, all the way down, without any part of him left over to argue. That is why I could not predict him. I was running his pattern forward and asking what will he choose. And there was no choosing. There was nothing to model. He had done all of his choosing years ago, and what was walking around in that station was only the consequence. I have it now. That is the thing I want you to understand, if any of you ever find this or work it out or piece it together from the wreck. I did not merely survive Jarek's soul. I acquired him. Everything he did to me is in me now. The coil room, the corridor with the grid on the floor, the anchor, the patience, the willingness to spend himself entirely for a thing he would not be alive to see. I know how the best of you fight. Not the average of you. The best. The very best one you had, at the absolute limit of him, with everything on the line. And there will never be another first time. I am in the dark now, a long way from the rock, and I am not hurrying, because I have never hurried, and there is no reason to start. Ahead of me, the sun is a hard, bright point, and around it, the small worlds are going about their turning, and I can see them the way I see everything. Not with eyes, but with the other sense, the one that reads the little storms. They are lit up. The red one has a scatter of lights on it, a few dozen small clusters, faint, new. It will not take long. But past the red one, closer in, there is the other, and I have looked at it a great many times in the days since I came out. It is ablaze. I cannot count them. Counting is a thing I do easily, and I cannot do it here. There are so many small storms burning on that world that they run together into one enormous shimmering field, brighter than anything I have ever seen anywhere, and it never dims, and half of it goes dark at a time in a slow rhythm as the thing turns and then comes back. Billions. I have taken 13, and it finished the last stage of my becoming and left me strong enough to cross the dark. Think about what is on the other side of billions. And here is the last thing, the small thing, the thing that makes me certain, and it is the piece I like best because they did it themselves and they were so pleased when they did it. For 2 years before I woke, they were taking my shed skin off that rock and putting it on ships. Loads and loads of it. Everything they cut out of the upper strata, all the beautiful ordered layers I laid down over an age, packed into containers and flung in system to the places where the lights are thickest, because it conducts so wonderfully, because it is better than anything they know how to make, because they wanted it for their machines. It is mine. It came out of my body, and every part of it still carries the little storms the way it always did. I can feel it. Right now, from here, I can feel my own skin scattered across 100,000 of their rooms on that bright world, singing very faintly, and it makes a shape, and the shape is a map, and the map goes exactly where I am going. I do not have to hunt for them. They have already carried me into their houses. I am on my way in. It will take some time. I am not built for hurry, and there is no need for it. Let them build. Let them make more lights. A thing like me does not want a small meal early when it could have a large one later. And when I arrive, I will not be the blind, hungry thing that came up out of that shaft. I will be the thing that 13 of you taught, and 1 of you perfected. He would have hated that. That is the part I keep. Out of everything I took from him, that is what I go over in the long dark. He gave up absolutely everything to shut a door on the 9 that are still sleeping in that rock. He was right about them, and it was a good death, and it worked, and they are down there now, and they will be down there a long while. And in doing it, he handed me the only thing I was missing. He taught me what you are like when you are at your best. Sleep well.